Hi guys, welcome to Core Meets World with your host Corey Brandon and special guest Mary Esposito, investor, entrepreneur, and finance influencer. Mary is the CEO of both Purple Pear, a crochet plushie business, as well as Money with Mary, a social media-based financial literacy initiative. Mary has also featured in an Emmy-nominated film in collaboration with Dove as a part of a campaign that raised awareness of the harmful effects of social media on youth. So Mary, thank you so much for coming on. It's truly an honor to have you here. So just to start off, could you just tell us a little bit about you? So like your hobbies, like fun facts, interests, anything like you would just like want to share so we can get to know you better.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, first, thank you so much for having me. My name's Mary. I really like to crochet. I really like to knit. I really like Pilates, and I really like makeup and fashion.
Okay, yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the fashion thing because we were going to get there, but you mentioned it already. So I wanted to go ahead and talk about that. So how did your, I guess, fashion sense evolve into what it is now? Because I feel like that's like one of the things that you're like known for the most is like, what is Mary going to wear?
Gas me like that.
Yeah.
You really gas me like that.
I mean, it's true. It's true. Like, it's always like, what is Mary going to wear? Like, I feel like that's like what we wonder. And I feel like every Instagram post that you make is just like a moment within itself. So it's like, how did that evolve and how did your like authenticity, I guess, come about?
Oh boy. Okay, well, right before COVID, I was not experimenting with my sexuality. I was coming to terms with my sexuality. Well, but experimenting with my fashion to reflect that. Mm-hmm. And I really got into like, this was in my like girl boss era. I was first building my first business, and I was like, okay, so I thrifted blazers, and I had like the bow ties from the Nordstrom boys section, you know, or like the ties that are like zipper and you like don't have to tie anything. Like I was stocked. And think Ellen DeGeneres. You know, like, think androgynous. I cut my hair super short.
Really?
Yes. I really, like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then COVID happened. But before COVID, like, in my high school, shout out to my high school. A lot of people were nice. Some people were not. But I just got picked on a lot for the way that I dressed and the way that I presented myself. I remember one time, I was wearing more androgynous clothing, and I had cut my hair really short. Think Kevin G. Like,
wow. Kevin
that was
G.
my hair. Like,
Kevin G.
Showers were 5 minutes.
I did not think you were going to say Kevin G.
Well, I was trying to think of
someone with a similar look.
Yeah.
Okay. Kevin G. Okay.
Right.
Clean.
Maybe a little bit shorter than that. Wow. I don't even know. Okay, but anyways, and then COVID happened, and then over quarantine, there was nobody to like pick on me. Yeah. Because you're doing, you just close the laptop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we all can relate to that one. Yeah. There was no one to like. Okay.
There was no one to check me.
Yeah. So you were just doing whatever you felt.
I went unchecked for like 2 years.
But,
you know?
But I said so. But coming.
But I started experimenting. I mean, really, there was no one to check me. Fishnets, platform boots, black lipstick, and my mom did have an intervention, and we did have a conversation, and she was like, Mary, I'm cool with stuff that you can eventually, at the end of the day, take off. Because she really supports my artistic expression. But at some point, she's like, okay.
Hold on.
Like, your grandparents are still alive, and your grandfather has a pacemaker. So let's keep it. Let's reel it back in.
Yeah.
So I basically, my philosophy was like, it's my body. I can do whatever I want. Right. And I think fashion started to develop for me like a piece of art. Like I like to consider myself a creative, maybe an artist, because I crochet.
Yeah.
But just like an artist also in the sense of like art as a form of self-expression, and fashion is how I choose to express myself.
Right.
And I really like fashion because you can change your outfit every single day to reflect your current state. So it's an ever-evolving piece.
Yeah. And it's like one of the key things to self-expression. Like that's how you express yourself is like by the things you wear. And like I actually, so one of my inspirations on podcasts is Trisha Paytas, right? So every time she has a guest, she kind of like goes like plays in their aesthetic a little bit. So like I was like, wait, what is something that I could wear that was like kind of Mary, like just like a little bit toned, like I don't know. I feel like what I usually wear is a lot different than your vibe because you go more into like a.
But I could have brought an extra collar.
Yeah. Because like
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You should have just told me.
Yeah. No, because I literally was like, oh my god, like, I have this. I was like, I can kind of give like a little Mary vibe.
And it matches my.
Yeah, I have one of I have a ring like that, and then I've like painted these pants before, like a few years ago, and I was like, wait, this is like creative. This is kind of like self-expressive. I can kind of give a Mary vibe today,
and I like it.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to like I don't know. I just like to kind of like dive into my guest's aesthetic, if that makes sense. But yeah, I love your vibe. I remember I'll never forget like when I first saw your Instagram.
This is either going to be extremely iconic or embarrassing.
No, it was iconic. It was iconic because I hadn't met you yet, but I remember we were both like obviously at Shirt and Mid, so you were in the group me, and I saw your Instagram, and I was like, oh my god, this girl's so cool. Like I just remember thinking your Instagram was so cool. Like I want to like be friends with her. Like you were just very different than like anyone else in like the best way possible. And that was like my first introduction to you was just like your outfits and like your fashion and like your self-expression, and it was very admirable because it was just like you really just like took control of your own narrative, if that makes sense. And like the Mary brand is the Mary brand, you know what I mean? Like you have your own brand, you have your own aesthetic, and you're just so authentic. And I feel like a lot of people can like, I don't know, admire that about you. So
thank you.
Good on you for that.
No,
good on you for that.
I just have to say that like I feel like the two braids are also like part of it.
Yeah.
That was not intentional. I just do not brush my hair every day. so let me
So that just became a part of it.
So it's accidentally like, but now we're just rolling with it.
Just rolling with it, and it works. It works. It became a staple.
Yeah.
So like obviously, you know, you've done a lot of things. Like I'm very curious as to like how your path, because you kind of touched on it a little bit, like how your path like in high school kind of led you here to UNC Chapel Hill. Like what brought you here, and how did you like decide on this as your, you know, as your school?
So it all starts in middle school.
That's surprising, actually. Wow, middle school.
Well, so I was hospitalized. So you touched on it a little bit. When I worked with Dove on a campaign to raise awareness for the harmful effects of social media on young people. And I mean, my personal experience with that was it really contributed to my eating disorder, and that started when I was about 10, but it really peaked in middle school when I was 13 in 8th grade, and I was hospitalized / put in a treatment facility for a couple months in my 8th grade year. So I missed like this chunk. I remember I missed the semi-formal, the 8th grade semi-formal, and I was just like, this sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. No, like from an 8th grade perspective though, like that makes sense. That's something you look forward to. That's something you want to do. Yeah.
But yeah, so, and then when I was in there, they really heavily regulated the media that we consumed. You know, like you could only check out certain books from the library, or you could maybe have an iPod Nano if your family brought it from home, but they had to clear the song list and make sure. Yeah, you know, just making sure there's no like triggering material in it. I remember, shout out to this one girl who got in trouble because she wore a Rice University sweatshirt. That was shout out to her. But you know, like they just wanted to make sure like it was a safe space for everybody. And so as a result, though, there wasn't a lot to do. No technology. I'm just kidding. There was technology, but like not for us. So I learned how to knit really in the facility. I went to Veritas Collaborative in Durham, which actually is like, I drive past the exit, I'm like, oh, shout out to you. Yeah. But yeah, so I learned how to knit. There were a lot of other girls knitting and crocheting in there. And then it really developed as a coping mechanism for me during my recovery, like an outlet, if you will, and like for mindfulness, and also a distraction. from just focusing on food or focusing on how my body was changing. There was just something else that I could always return to at the end of the day to regulate my nervous system, especially because we weren't allowed to exercise unless you reached a certain weight, or, you know, we maybe had an outing. We had, you know, if you did a good job, you could do yoga once a week, or you could maybe go outside on the weekend. But other than that, you know, like, this was really what I had. This was it for me. And then when I got out, I mean, as soon as you get discharged from the facility, it's not like you're immediately good. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you transition instead. I went through inpatient, then I went through partial hospitalization, daycare. Okay. And then you go to outpatient. And that's when you're living at home, but you have, like, your team, your therapist, your dietitian, your psychiatrist. And I'm really grateful that I have the privilege to have all this, too, because it's unfortunately not accessible to a lot of people. Yeah. But, yeah, while I was in outpatient, I continued to knit, and then I eventually, you know, wanted to share my art with the world. And that's when I created an Instagram page, and I named it Purple Pear. To pay homage to so right before I went into the facility, my school had this holiday fair, and I bought this crochet purple pear plush. This was before I even learned how to crochet. I just thought it was cute. And then a couple weeks later, you know, I'm packing up my things to go to the facility, and they say you can take one thing from home. And I didn't want to take my, like, childhood bear, because I was like, I don't know what is going on in these facilities. Like, if he got lost, like, so I took this that I had just got. It didn't have much sentimental value. And then that was kind of the piece of home that I took with me. So then it accidentally, like, progressed into the mascot for our little, like, 13 and under, like, wing of the facility. And then I decided to name my crochet business, my arts craft business, Purple Pear, because that was, I think, where I started.
Okay. That's really cool. So, like, throughout that journey, like, when did you realize that finance and entrepreneurship were, like, two industries that you wanted to take on? Because, I mean, you're doing very well in both, obviously. So, like, you know, when did that happen? So I started doing my, chapter 2, started doing my Purple Pear things. I started that when I was 14. I remember I got out and I had my birthday. And then I was starting into high school freshman year. And I did that all throughout high school, and especially over the pandemic was a time where my business really blossomed, because you know, I was already taking my knitting to class and doing it, but, you know, you tilt the Zoom screen up and it's free time. You know, it's really free time. So I was just cranking out plushies. You know, people were sending me pictures of their pets. I was recreating them in plushie form. I was shipping out, you know, a lot of no contact stuff. I was able with the online e-commerce that was surging in the pandemic. When I was around 16, 17, I found myself with, like, enough money from this where I was like, what am I going to do with this? You know, and that's when I learned about investing and learning about, like, where to put that money instead of just spending it. I bought money on a lot of dumb stuff. You know, I'm sure a lot of clothes.
A lot of clothes, mostly eclectic jewelry, wire wrapped boobs, uteruses, vaginas, just, like, you know,
the most random
shout
thing.
out to my mom, for real. Like, she's so real. She let me do that. Her philosophy, again, if you can take it off for the family reunion, it's okay. So I learned how to invest, and then through investing, that piqued my interest in personal finance as a whole. And then my interest in personal finance as a whole is what encouraged me to start Money with Mary, which initially wasn't even to educate or literally, like, that at all. It actually was literally just because I felt so isolated during, I guess, as a young woman at a very small high school, with maybe not a lot of friends. But then also just, like, during the pandemic and just quarantine, I was just really desperate to find other people like me that I could have these conversations with and talk about these interests in a more safe place than, say, Wall Street Bets on Reddit or, you know, like, And so that was what it initially started as. And then over time, it just has continued to evolve into, I guess, whatever it is today.
Right. So I kind of want to talk more about Money with Mary, because that's just so interesting to me. So like when you said you were making like a lot of money from Purple Pear and you were trying to figure out like what to do with it. So like from that point to like Money with Mary, what resources and what did you use to get to the point where you are today, where like I'm sure like that version of yourself did not know as much as this version. So like how did you teach yourself about finance and investing and that kind of thing that led to Money with Mary?
So there's this quote. It's like, I don't know who made it up. Maybe Adam Grant. I don't know. Let me not misattribute anything. But it's experience comes first, knowledge comes second. So I made so many mistakes. So many mistakes. Like I took financial advice from Reddit. That's an example. You know, like I lost money on crypto.
Yeah.
You know, several $1,000s.
Yeah.
You know, but just like so many mistakes first. But also, I mean, I was very privileged to have resources.
Right.
You know, like access to the internet, or, you know, I could ask friends, family around me, like for their input. I did have the support of my mom.
Right.
So, and I also, during the pandemic, I didn't have a job. I didn't have to. So I was doing Purple Pear as my business, and I worked at Chick-fil-A after pandemic, but I didn't have to work during the pandemic. I didn't have to work full time out of the house. So I did also have that time to explore this. But I started reading books first, transitioned into podcasts. Then social media, and I don't use social media to just like, oh, okay, they said to invest in Series I savings bonds. Let me go ahead and immediately do that on treasurydirect.gov. I use it instead as like a launching pad. Like, oh, I didn't know Series I savings bonds even existed. Let me go research it and then make an informed decision as a consumer.
Right.
So that was how social media began to reveal itself to me as like, oh, maybe this can be a valuable tool in my journey and my self-education, and maybe also in the education of other people.
Right. Right. That's actually so cool. So like diving into that education of other people. So you started a finance club. I want to say you started a finance club for women, correct? Like on campus. So like, could you like maybe talk about that and like how you started it, maybe like advertising it to the viewers, like, you know, what you guys do or what you offer in that position?
Yeah. So it's actually called Smart Women Securities, and it's a club where we, you know, it's meant to be a safe space for women and non-binary individuals who are just looking for a space to talk more about their personal finance questions or struggles. So I will say that I have begun detransitioning from the club to actually aligning myself and working closely with okay, shout out everybody. We have a new Center for Financial Wellness at UNC Chapel Hill as of this semester.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, I was on the search committee to hire Dr. Gilbert Rogers, who's an extremely qualified teacher and instructor, and he is now the director. And so he and I actually just had a call this morning, but working directly with UNC to try to set up peer mentors and more resources for students at UNC Chapel Hill. Okay. So I'm really excited about that. That's how I guess my role on campus has like kind of made its move. But yeah, so I'm really excited about that. That's what I'm working on now, and fingers crossed I'll be able to get a credit-bearing internship to do that. And we're hoping to develop a more comprehensive personal finance course, maybe like 1 credit hour or something for the liberal arts college, and like debunk the misconception that that's something only for business majors, you know, because I know there's like a class, but it's busy blank, you know, and it's like, this is actually, try to get into it and stuff. This is for everybody. This is the liberal arts college, because this is important for everybody.
Right. So you went from starting a club on campus to even going to an even larger scale. Like that's actually amazing, because like obviously like the club, that was, you know, one step, and that obviously had a large impact. But now you're moving into something that's going to have an impact on all students here. So that's actually so cool. I was thinking the same thing because I feel like a lot of, information about finance and banking and things like that, it is reserved for like a business major or a management society major or an econ major even. But everybody's going to have finances. Every major is going to make money, and they're going to need to know what to do with that money. So like that's actually really great. That's something that I have thought about before. Like what are they going to do with it? Everybody needs to know these concepts that business majors learn. Yeah. Because like, how are you going to keep your money?
For everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know when this podcast episode is being released, so you can cut this out. But I believe it's the Tuesday after our Easter weekend.
Right.
That might be April 2nd. Dr. Gilbert Rogers and I are hosting a workshop in Gardner. It's on Heal Life, but we're going to be talking about the importance of credit cards and credit score for college students. It'll be an hour long. It'll be like a interactive presentation and workshop with resources offered at the end. So if anybody's interested in that, credit is super important to start now. So just like a subtle plug in there.
Yeah.
You can always take that out.
No,
depending on when the episode's released.
It'll probably be released before then. And also, if this is that going to be promoted anywhere on social media?
My social media.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So we will we can like share that on the Core Meets World story, keep that going. And here I'm going
CLE
to
credit.
CLE credit,
y'all.
That'll do it. That will get them out. That will get them out. Because it's actually, I like to do CLEs that like I actually want to hear about. You know what I mean? Like not just the random ones for the credit, because that's amazing.
Please come.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. They're gonna see this. Moving on, kind of pivoting from the finance world, I really want to talk to you about the world of social media, because this is obviously something that you have taken on by storm, like completely. Hey, it's true. It's true. You're one of the most successful content creators we have at UNC, like just being honest. And as someone who's kind of like dabbled in that world a little bit and kind of plans to pursue social media in the future. Yeah. Like, I really want to hear about your life as a content creator, your dual life as a content creator and college student, and kind of like how that conflicts and like what that looks like for you.
Yeah. So Hannah Montana?
Yes.
I wasn't going anywhere with that.
I could see where you're going with it though. I can see it. The best of both worlds. I can see this. Best of both worlds.
So yeah, I mean, okay, so wake up, film videos, go to class.
Yeah.
I would honestly, in all seriousness, it's very rewarding, but I also think it can be a little bit overwhelming, especially. So I'm on the spectrum, and I struggle like socially, but between the way I dress and the way I guess what I do on social media, might check me, but I feel like I have maybe like a I don't know, just I'm very widely perceived, and it can be like stressful, but it's also really rewarding. Like I will like at least once a day, like someone will recognize me, and that helps. Like, so for me especially, I think the benefit, I'm like all over the place with this question, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Like I'm scared to approach other people to have a conversation, but through the way I dress and my content online, people are approaching me.
Right.
So suddenly I don't have to do that social heavy lifting. So it's actually given me the opportunity to meet a lot of incredible people. So that's definitely a big plus that I really like. I also think that Instagram has done way more than me than LinkedIn ever has.
Okay.
Just like in terms of just like visibility, I feel like might not be more qualified than other people at all. It's just the fact that my existence is just out there in the void.
Right.
And just you never know who's watching.
Right.
So I feel like that's another unexpected benefit of just having that platform.
Right.
I will say that there are some cons.
Okay.
I think a lot of people know of me, but maybe don't like know me.
Yeah.
Which can be harmful in the sense that like I hear something about I didn't know. I'm like, oh my god, I did what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know what you mean completely.
So like something like that. Or like, I tried to sleep with who? Like
yeah. Because it's just like once you have that platform, you're just someone that anyone can bring up and everybody's gonna know who you are.
Yeah,
so it's easy to spread whatever, and and that's gonna make it interesting for everyone else around. So it makes people want to talk about you more. Yeah, and things like that, of course.
Especially with UNC, I feel like we're our own little village, like in some degree, like we're especially our own little community.
We all know each other.
Like, and you think like. You think there's like thousands of people, but people, like you know this person who knows this person, and okay, now you know this person, and so it is like a bit tough. Right. I think that being on a college campus probably exacerbates that.
Sure.
And I would say that like that's a drawback, but again, like I really appreciate all the opportunities that this platform has brought me.
Right.
So overall, I'd say that I'm okay with it. You know, nothing's ever going to be 100% your way. But yeah, that's one of the nuances of that's really tough. I go home on the weekends to Raleigh with my family, and I don't wear any makeup, and I don't dress up on the weekends. And I think that the reason why I'm able to really feel happy here is because I have that restorative period at home with my family every weekend. Every weekend.
Kind of like a reset.
It is a reset. And, I'm not worried about being perceived, because it's just me walking my dog in the park.
It's your time to be Miley.
Yeah.
It's your time to be Miley.
It is, yeah. And I don't film on the weekends or anything, so it is really nice. And then by the time Monday, Tuesday rolls around, I'm back, I'm ready. I do the
thing,
and both are me. But it's provided me the opportunity to explore the whole spectrum of me.
Right. And would you also say you have a sense of fulfillment from social media because of how many people you're helping? Because that's something that I noticed about your social media. Like, while you're a content creator and you're very popular and things like that, you're not just a content creator that's pushing out content for fame or notoriety. A lot of your content you're pushing out is to help other people. Because, for example, with Money with Mary, like, you're helping so many people with, like, understanding finance and getting it from a place that they feel more comfortable. Because I'm sure, like, a lot of people feel a lot more comfortable with you speaking about finance than they would like the average finance bro. You know what I mean? Because these are the people who have kind of historically had that like gatekeeping kind of sense on finance, or these, finance bros. But now it's like when you have someone like you that's comfortable with sharing your knowledge, sharing your resources, and being willing to help people, it creates a whole other space. And it's like spreading financial literacy to people who otherwise wouldn't have it. So like you're also like helping people while, being a famous content creator. So it's like, I don't know, I just see you as a different version of a social media or as a public figure and as a social media person. Like, you just kind of have a different authentic platform that's also helping people, not just helping yourself.
No, yeah, I appreciate that. I think that maybe part of the way I've been able to do that is, I refuse to not dress the way I like to dress for my videos, because I'm like, you're either going to listen to me or you're not going to listen to me. It's not my job to get you to listen to me. It's not my job to try to convince you that what I have to say is important or worth hearing. If you want to hear it, like, tune in. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you don't, then you're lost.
Yeah, it's on you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I also think that what also helps is sharing my mistakes too. Like, a lot of people maybe try to position themselves as authorities, and I don't think I'm an authority. I think if we like to view it as if we view it as like a staircase or something to financial wealth and whatever, right? A lot of people like to pretend they're at 10. Let's just say I'm at 4. I'm never going to teach anything above 4 that I don't already know myself or don't feel comfortable sharing. I'm maybe going to talk about steps 1 and 2.
Right.
And that's what I feel comfortable sharing.
And that makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to like talk about steps 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here's how you can get here. I haven't even gotten here.
Right.
Or, even if I have gotten there, that's not what the majority of people need to learn.
Right.
The majority of people don't need to learn about steps 5, 6, 7. The majority of people, whether for circumstances in or out of their control, are still at these earlier steps, and how can we meet people where they're at and get them to these steps instead of assuming, you know, that, oh, okay, like just because I'm here, it means that you can do it like this too.
Right. Like it's like fundamentally, like you're saying, like you're giving them the fundamentals. You don't need to like kind of, right. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So far you've had an exciting journey. That's been like very inspiring to watch, like as a peer, because I mean, like we came in together, and like obviously we're still at UNC together, so like just watching what, like just knowing what you have accomplished and seeing what you're currently doing constantly, just seeing Mary, like Mary's always doing something, Mary's always accomplishing something. Like it's really inspiring to watch. And like just like out of curiosity, like what do you see from Mary in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years in the future? What do you see for yourself? What do you want for yourself? And yeah, what does Mary in 5 years look like, or 10 years?
Okay. So I guess in 5 years I'm gonna be 25. In 10 years I'm gonna be 30. So I did this camping trip to Utah last week, and this is relevant. Okay. Yeah. And I saw a shooting star, and that prompted me to think about, like, what do I want? And I can't. And I think what I really want is I want to continue to grow my businesses, want to grow Money with Mary, want to grow Purple Pear. And then I guess I've also established this personal brand that spans them and also extends to my just personal fashion account, which is kind of devolved into shit posting, but you know, I'm embracing the journey. But yeah, I'd like to continue to grow my financial literacy educational platform, especially because I think that is something that is a need, that is a big need. Definitely. Maybe more than crochet plushies.
That could be debatable to some people. Right. They love them.
But yeah, something in both of my accounts, especially Money with Mary though, is that I'm realizing is it initially just started as financial literacy, right? Investing, budgeting, saving. But as I continue to explore these topics and continue to self-educate myself alongside trying to educate other people, I've realized that, you know, social justice issues are so intertwined with money that it might just be irresponsible to not acknowledge that as well. Right. So like, for example, you know, access to contraception. What are the benefits of that for, you know, maybe people of lower socioeconomic status or women who are wanting to pursue careers, you know? So that's something I'm also finding that is emerging more in my content, that I'm eager to explore that as well, is the intersection between money and politics. But then also just the intersection of, I like to call it craftivism, craft activism through Purple Pear. You know, I crochet these bees that have the pride flags. Instead of the, you know, instead of the yellow and black stripes, it's, you know, the bi flag or the pan flag, you know, and just like bringing awareness to that in general, or crocheting a uterus, you know what I mean? Crocheting a vagina. Like, okay, let's talk about it. You know what I mean? Using that to talk about the benefit of, you know, contraception. You know, let's not ban this. Like, let's advocate for equality and for women's empowerment and, you know, other people who have a uterus. And so, I don't know. That's something I'm eager to explore. Oh, gosh, if I go corporate, y'all please check in on me, because
I couldn't see it.
Please check in on me. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm trying to position myself while I'm in college. I'm juggling plan A and plan B and figuring out which one is my plan A and which one is my plan B. And then as I've become matriculating further into Keenan Flagler, like the business school, I've it started to emerge to me that okay, maybe I can work on school and also work on my business by working on school. Right. You know, by taking these classes. I'm like, oh my God, like me, when I take classes, I actually enjoy, like, what? Because like in high school, that was like not a thing. You know what I mean? AP biology, AP chem, AP physics, like, so yeah, I'm eager to explore. By the time I graduate, hopefully I'm, you know, have enough in my investment portfolio. I have enough assets. I have enough momentum, my platform, you know, to just launch. Now I have two businesses just in case one fails. You know what I mean? So, okay, so we have a backup plan there. So we'll see, though. I'd like to continue. I'd like to write a book. This summer, I'm traveling to Japan and visiting different temples along the different islands. If I butcher this, Kyushu? I'm starting Kyushu, going up all the way to Tokyo.
Oh,
and
so cool.
For 5 weeks, and my deliverables for this project are chapters of a memoir, because I took English 283 last semester, and it was a memoir writing class, life writing. Dr. Candace Epps Robertson, highly recommend her. I'm gonna ask her to be my mentor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm really interested in that. I would like to do a TED Talk to redeem myself from the one I did in high school.
What happened?
It just needs to be wiped from the internet.
Okay.
No worries.
Okay, don't search that up. Don't go look into that.
Don't go look into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to do that. I'd like to buy a house in Asheville.
Okay.
And I'd like to be able to not have to choose, as a woman, not have to choose between having a career or a family. And I feel like that's a big issue that, you know, I've been talking to a lot of high achieving women, and that's a decision that they had to make. And I don't want to ever have to make the same sacrifice that, you know, people in my family have.
Right.
And so, yeah, and then, you know, speaking also to that, you know, I would like to have like a senior Chihuahua sanctuary, maybe other young small dogs in Asheville. I need enough money to buy a big enough house so that each of them have their own little room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like a motorized scooter. I mean, diapers, piddle pads.
It's a lot to go
toys, kibble. It's a lot, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet.
So, but yeah, I just feel like nobody likes senior dogs enough, you know, and nobody wants to adopt them because they're old, but, you know, they deserve their, like,
right.
They're like little old people,
yeah,
you know, who don't talk and complain.
Yeah. And don't do anything.
They're really cute. And so I'd really like to be able to do that. That's like my passion project. I follow a ton of like celebrity chihuahuas on Instagram and stuff, you know. So yeah, that would be my passion project, would be working out of Asheville. But in the immediate future, I'd like to move to LA for 1 to 2 years, check out the media entertainment industry. Again, maybe try to get more opportunities there. A lot of collaborations happen in LA and New York City. I applied for a grant recently through Victoria's Secret. Fingers crossed I get it. I don't know. We'll see. Let's all
that.
Okay, let's all hold hands.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That, honestly, I like how you said passion project about the Chihuahuas, but honestly, everything you do seems to be a passion project.
That is so true.
Yeah, it's like,
let me reframe that to like passion project that like loses me money.
Yeah. Because I'm gonna say, like, that's the one thing I think people would draws people to you, is the fact that you are truly passionate about everything you do. So it's like, it's not fake. It's complete authenticity all the time. And you can't really replicate that. So I feel like that's kind of like why, you know, you have been so successful, is because you've been able to do all these things, and like hearing about your future is so exciting. But like, you've been able to do these things, and you've been able to do it like with your passion first. Your Instagram stories, I love your Instagram stories. I go through your Instagram stories
because sometimes I'm like, oh God, why did I post that? But also
they're so funny.
Quote. I have my phone with my notes app page of quotes that I looked towards or look at, you know, when I'm having a moment. And one of them is, it's good to cringe at your past self, because that means that you no longer identify with those actions, and that means that represents like your growth. Okay. So there are some things where I look back and I'm like, oh, like that was a little bit cringe.
That's not,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when I publicly invited someone to pull up and fight me after they cyberbullied me on Instagram. It was another student, and I was like, okay, like, just say it in the dining hall. If not, like, I'll be here.
Oh, my goodness.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
It's like, oh.
That's not.
Should I have posted that?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Was it funny?
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yes. Well, yes. Yeah, I never thought about it that way. I like that, looking back, because I cringe all the time at some.
Yeah. And that's good, because I would rather look back and cringe than look back and still try to defend myself.
But oh yeah, I ate. Yeah. I know what you mean. So just to kind of like wrap us up, just for the audience, especially the students out there, like, what's a piece of advice you could give, whether it's financial literacy related or advocacy related or social media related or just life related, as you know, Mary Esposito, what would you say to the world, like, just a piece of advice, or maybe even one of your quotes that you want to leave everyone with?
So I'm going to address the elephant in the room. Follow me on Instagram.
Yeah. They probably already do. Everyone that's watching this definitely already follows you on Instagram.
But okay. I'm going to say that let me not do one like be yourself, because that's like so like, oh, like I hate when people say that to me. So like give me a minute to like actually like remember something profound. I would say honestly, like the one that always gets me is the one that we mentioned earlier about the ability, you know, success is the ability to think and the ability to learn, but also the ability to rethink and relearn. You know, like continuing to challenge yourself both internally and also the world externally. Like always continue to question yourself, you know, and also viewing things like with a scientist cap on instead of, you know, so like not taking everything so personally. Like for example, like you view your mistakes as experiments. Okay, like you tested this and maybe it didn't have the right outcome, but you know, instead of attaching your self-worth to that, maybe detaching that, looking from it a little bit as like a third party, being like, okay, that didn't work, but you know, what can I do to hone my methods and try this next time, you know? And I also think that failure, like for me, like for my 2 businesses that I am arguably succeeding at, there are like 5 that failed. Really, dog treat business, jewelry business, like twice. No need to get into the other ones. You know,
transparency.
Duct tape wallets. I mean, illustrating cards, the painted rocks, like rainbow loom. Like, I was out there. But yeah. Anyways, and instead of viewing failure as redirection, because I'm where I am today because those doors weren't meant for me. And so that led me down this hallway to open doors that were meant for me. And here I am, you know?
No, sharing that, being that transparent, like as, you know, like you're an entrepreneurial, like mogul on this campus. So like sharing the fact
mogul is crazy.
Hey, I mean, I can't think of anyone that, I mean, to be fair, I can't think of anyone on this campus that's done as much as you in an entrepreneurial like sphere. Like, you know, you kind of have that on lock. So like to like share your failures, that's, oh my God, that's definitely going to help. And I think that's definitely going to inspire people who want to do something similar. Because I know there are people that want to do something similar, especially like I especially know of like a lot of women that look up to you and all that you've accomplished and things like that. So like, I don't know, like I definitely can. I don't know. I think that's definitely going to help people just to be able to hear you say like, oh yeah, me, Mary Esposito, I have failed at a business venture. Like that's gonna
many. And the thing also I think is that, you know, I'm 20 now and maybe people compare and it's like, well, I'm 20, I'm not doing that. I think that like I started doing this when I was 14 and so it's 6 years. You know, and so I'm 20 now, which is young, but that's because I started when I was 14. So it wasn't as if like I had the shit. But I'm sorry. You're fine. It's not as if like, you know, I was born with like to do this. You know, I had resources that definitely accelerated my growth that I really appreciate. You know, like I wouldn't like it's the term self-made is very nuanced because I don't, you know, I did not do anything wholly by myself.
Is anyone really self-made?
It is, yeah. I think some people, and this is the way I like to look at it, self-made is it's a staircase. Again, going back to the staircase analogy. As much as I hate going upstairs, like I'm really like this is the thing that really gets me is you know, it's 10 steps. Maybe I start at 6 and I get to 9. You know, that doesn't discount the 3 steps that I did. But someone who starts at 2 and gets to 9, like, let's acknowledge that. You know what I mean?
Because we're all standing on the shoulders of someone. Yeah,
again, and it's so nuanced. It's never black and white. But yeah, I failed at so many things. Just starting, and I didn't start to gain attraction until I started. I mean, I'm a sophomore until freshman year last year, so I'd say for 4 years. It was crickets. Wow. But really, I just did it because I was passionate about it. And if you start anything for money, like you're going to fail because you're not going to make money for a bit. You know, unless you really hit the renegade. You know? But and if you're not doing that, you know, then
passion first. Passion first. It seems like that's what you live by.
And then money follows.
Right.
Let me reframe that. Not just opportunities follow. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's all I had. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This has been probably one of my favorite episodes I've done so far because I don't know. I feel like my guest episodes are just my favorite episodes. Like, just being able to like learn about other people and like share with the audience, like, so they can get a peek into Mary and like, behind the curtain and what goes into the whole production of Mary Esposito. Like, I think that's very insightful, especially for people who look up to you. So thank you so much again. It truly was an honor to have you come on. So thank you so much. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much for everyone who continues to tune into Core Meets World, and for the new viewers, because I'm sure we'll have some new viewers because of Mary. Thanks to Mary.
We will promo this.
Yes. So thank you guys too for watching. And yeah, bye guys.
Bye.
Perfect.